Thank you. Mr. Waldman.
Thank you, Chairman Cruz, Ranking Member Cantwell, and other committee members. On average, 2 newspapers close every week in the United States. 3,500 have shut down in the last 20 years. And perhaps most importantly, in the last 20 years, there's been a 75% drop in the number of local journalists. That's in print, TV, digital. And the consequences for communities are really alarming. Studies show that areas with less local news have more corruption, more government waste, less civic involvement, less volunteering. People know a lot about national controversies, but not all that much about local issues, what the mayor did this year, or even what the mayor's name was. And there's one more thing that's a bit harder to measure, but so important, is the vacuum is being filled by social media and national news, which are leaving communities more divided. As Senator Moran said last week about the Plainville Times, national journalism has the habit of tearing us apart. Community journalism pulls us together. Yes, media consolidation is one of the causes. For instance, private equity firms in New York acquired lots of newspapers, then laid off the local reporters in the rest of the country. But the primary cause is the internet. Advertisers shifted spending toward Google, Facebook, and other tech platforms, and then used their market clout to restrict competition and provide less revenue to local publishers. And now comes another body blow, artificial intelligence. AI will further deplete the revenue of local news outlets. AI companies will suck in the local news content to train and ground the AI assistants, which then provide full answers instead of linking prominently off to the publisher websites. And those click-throughs are what have generated the traffic and the revenue for the local news outlets. When the Washington Post announced its cuts, which included a 70% cut in the Metro staff, they noted that their search traffic had dropped by half in 3 years. And by the way, these drops in traffic are at conservative websites as well. But here's the horrible paradox of all this. As AI erodes local news businesses, that hollowness in turn will make it worse, will make AI worse. AI works well when it has massive amounts of data, but it really struggles when it's confronted with the condition called information scarcity, and local news suffers from that ailment exactly. Studies show AI routinely provides inaccurate information on local matters, and when malicious players are producing deep fakes and there are no local watchdogs, those will run rampant. And to be clear, like, AI does offer tremendous opportunities to local newsrooms. It really does. I mean, these nearly magical tools can help local news outlets do more coverage with less money. But the tech industry has to go farther than that and help reverse the financial crisis, the revenue crisis that it helped to create. And I think there's a few ways to think about that. First, AI companies must compensate local news organizations, including the small and medium-sized ones, for the content they use. Many of them have made deals with big media chains, but so far have left out thousands of smaller players. Second, we have the big controversies and energy over the construction of AI data centers. Well, there's an opportunity there too. Here's an idea. Have each data center contribute some money, a one-time donation to a community foundation to create an endowment that would help pay for local reporters. And those reporters can do the follow-up. Did the AI companies actually buy from local businesses, as they said they would, or hire locally, or did they pay their way on electricity, as they said? And finally, AI companies and social media platforms should pay, I believe, a mitigation fee to help finance the revival of community news. Even a tiny fee could help pay for something like Senator Cantwell's bill that would provide tax credits for the hiring of local news, or tax credits for small businesses that advertise in local news, which is an idea we're seeing Republicans push in New Hampshire and Kansas right now. Now, on the local TV ownership caps, our group has not taken a position on the question of whether or not FCC has the authority to do the caps on their own, but I would say this. First, I actually have some sympathy for both of these arguments. It really is true that local TV news is incredibly important. In some places, it's the only thing left. And so we really agree that this ought to be looked at through the prism of whether or not it helps local news. On the other hand, there really is a lot of evidence that consolidation has gone in the other direction and actually hollowed out some newsrooms. So my advice would be to look at that question through the prism of whether it's good or bad for local news, and specifically look at whether it maintains or increases or reduces the number of local reporters and editors, not the number of hours. Because if you have less local reporters and more hours, what you actually have is more superficial local news or more copying. So really look at the kind of capacity. And I think time is running out. We need to reverse this before nothing's left. We, at heart, need more human reporters living in the communities, accountable to and listening to their neighbors. And for that revival to happen, the biggest technology companies must quickly step up as well.